Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. We are here today with someone who has been competing since 2013. She earned her pro card in 2014. She's been a hairstylist and makeup artist for 11 years and is married with two kitty fur babies, Pickles and Reggie. She is a donut connoisseur, change junkie, music lover, optimist, and Iowa farm girl. Welcome to the show, the goofy and weird Jessica Lynn. How are you doing?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. It makes me happy that you're here, that we're doing this thing. So, I'm going to ask you, what is something you do or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
So, like everyone else, I've kind of been thinking about it since you asked me to interview. And there's nothing specific. Probably every show is just a little bit different, just depending on how I'm feeling and the vibe of that specific show. But I get really anxious. I'm good all the way up until right before I step on stage. So I kind of try to just lay down and take a couple deep breaths and kind of do a little bit of meditating beforehand, just so I can hopefully alleviate some of my little stage jitters. And then I just kind of visualize my routine and what I want to do, even though that may not be exactly what I end up doing. But yeah, I just kind of try to zen out a little bit before I get on stage.
You just keep imagining your signature hair flip over and over again.
Yes. Yep.
Man, that looks so good. I was watching your videos when I was prepping for this episode. I was like, I love that. And your back muscles look so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
The hair flips, when I practice, they're never that extra. And then that's just the part of being on stage. My hair has a mind of its own. It's all over the place.
Everything's bigger and better and badder.
Yep.
So something that's pretty cool about you that I didn't know, but that you brought to my attention is that you're technically the only open IFBB Bikini Pro from and living in Iowa, which is crazy. I mean, maybe statistically it's not that crazy, but what is special about this for you?
I mean, it's just it's not something that I've shared with many people, just because, I don't know, people that aren't in the competition world, it's hard for them to kind of relate to kind of how special that is for me. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of cool. Everything takes a little while to get to the Midwest as far as popularity. And so for me, having that status for quite a while now, and that I'm the only one here that is an open bikini pro, I don't know, I just think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's also I guess there's two sides to that, right? Because being the only one means that there's not another, fellow pro friend competitor there with you to maybe prep or do posing together or kind of be in it with you. So do you rely on the social media or long distance connections for that?
Yeah, I mean, I have built a lot of really good, genuine relationships with girls that I've met through competing. And it's you see the surface level of everyone via social media, but then specific people that you actually meet in person, and you can kind of put the face and the actual aura of someone all together. I don't know, I've been pretty lucky that I vibe pretty well with quite a few of the girls that I've met. And so, yeah, I kind of rely on a lot of those relationships for some extra motivation and stuff when I need it. Because, yeah, I mean, like I said, around here, yeah, everybody is kind of into competing, kind of knows what it's all about, but not quite on the level.
Yeah, and you've been doing it
So,
for so long now as a pro too that I imagine it really is just a different level. Like yes, there's NPC competitions and yes, there's girls who are probably there who are like dying to, be up there with you. But it's also just different. And I like what you said about how you connect with people in person, you get a feel for their energy. Is there
mhm.
anyone who comes to mind for you?
Oh, like people that I've met?
That you like feel like you've developed those positive relationships with?
Well, okay, Hannah Ranfriend has literally the best energy of like anyone I've ever met. She's awesome. I just met Marissa Wu and we bonded really well. Ashton Brown, Bishop Green, like Camilla Powell, like all these girls, like I feel like they're just a little bit just more real than some that I've met in the past. So yeah, those girls are they're awesome.
They're the real ones for you. That's awesome.
Yep.
I know Jesse Palmer and you were pretty close too, and she was like,
Yes.
she actually put a question in for me to ask you, and I was like, oh
Ooh,
man, I already had that one planned, and I'm gonna ask you
love
that,
it.
but I won't ask you right now.
Okay.
Leave the people wanting. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So anyways, you said you are goofy and weird, and I want to know what you think makes you so weird. Like, what are some of the weirder things or parts about you that we wouldn't know from looking at your social media
Oh my
alone?
God. Just like if there were a camera at home going all the time, it would be probably embarrassing if other people saw that, but like literally like especially me and my husband, we talk in accents like maybe 75% of the time, and we're just like we like dance around the house really weird just for no reason. um what else? I'd make a bunch of weird faces. Like I've realized that anytime I'm doing like a video interview, I like have serious anxiety about it because I don't know what weird face I'm gonna make and what I'm gonna look like. I end up looking like a complete idiot. And like when I'm doing photo shoots, it's like, okay, please tell me if I'm making a weird face because sometimes I don't mean to, but they just come out. Like, I don't know. I'm just a weird person, but normal's boring, so I'm all about
Exactly. I'm an accent person too, and
it.
my dancing is so embarrassing. I'm not a good dancer, which makes it that much better because I don't dance in public, but when I do,
Yes.
it's only to embarrass my boyfriend. Um,
Oh, that's perfect.
it's perfect. Comes in handy, you know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
I love that. So, you
Love it.
you did start competing in 2013, and the sport
Yes.
has evolved since then, and you've evolved with the sport. So, what do you think is the biggest difference between competing as a pro now versus when you were competing as a pro in 2014, aside from, the obvious physique standards changing?
Yep, yep. It's crazy how like even the new pros especially that are like coming into the pro world are just their physiques are like un like unbeatable, like just so respectable. I feel like it's just some kind of crazy evolution. Like they're coming in fresh from the amateur stage and looking like 110%. And yeah, it's definitely changed. Like we all know it's changed a ton from how like muscular usually they're looking for. Like when I started and when I was, placing consistently well, like the muscle I had then, it's like even as a pro, like I looked like an amateur. And so now even like the amateur level, their muscularity and their shape is just it's crazy. Like in a
Mhm.
good way crazy. But
Yeah, I like it too.
yeah, it's just evolved, and just the quality of athlete. I feel like even though it is getting really saturated, I feel like a lot of people are getting really involved with competing, which is great, but not necessarily all on that like top tier level. So
Mhm.
it's more saturated now. It's more popular, but I mean, I feel like the quality of physique is definitely improving as well.
Do you feel like your status as a pro has lost any of its value since you first got it?
I I in a way, yes. And I think some of that is based on again like the saturation and
Mhm.
social media influence, and just other ways that people are able to kind of like market themselves in the industry. I feel like there's a lot to be said for someone who does turn pro and just hits it hard, like right away when you have that fresh pro status and like you get right after it. Like, I feel like that's probably the best time to capitalize on your status. So yeah, maybe, but again, it's always changing. So I never know, if I'm going to go into this show and maybe I will be the best physique there. Like,
Right.
it's the, I don't know. I feel that way a little bit, but not 100%.
There's still pride in the status that you hold as a pro.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. And like, I think one thing that's changed with that too is I am able to like respect that I have that status, like literally forever, until as long as I want. And I look at it differently now. Like, I don't have to go balls to the wall right now. Like, yeah, I may lose some freshness, with the judges and whatnot, but then that just gives me more motivation to like re-earn that with them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That is really relatable. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when I decided to take time off, that was one of my biggest fears for like a good 3 months. Like, oh man, they're going to forget me. They're not going to know who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
then, and then it's like you realize, good, forget the competitor I was because the
Yeah,
person I'm becoming, you will never forget.
exactly. Yep,
It's motivating for sure. Um,
definitely.
So what even inspired you to start competing in the first place? Because it wasn't as popular as it is now. There wasn't as much
Mm-mm.
advocacy for it. And you were in a Midwest town that probably didn't even
Mm-hmm.
focus on it that much.
Yeah. So I very first started, like, I was doing CrossFit for 4 years. And so that really kind of sparked my enjoyment for lifting heavy and having goals in the gym and being on like a consistent schedule and with all the dieting and all that, even though it's different than competing, like that kind of sparked my enjoyment for lifting in general. And then I had known two girls who had competed. One was one of my bosses at work, and I think she did natural figure. And so I just like started asking her some questions. I don't even remember what specifically made me want to ask her questions, but I think it was just kind of the evolution of fitness for me, from going from CrossFit to that. So I asked her some questions about like competing and all that. And then, randomly I ended up meeting someone, and I dated someone who had competed before. And so he was able to kind of help me transition my diet and my training from lifting for strength to lifting for aesthetic and dieting for aesthetic for a show. Because even up until that point, I had never been to a show, I had never seen a show, I didn't know how they worked. I just knew you wore a sparkly bikini and you looked all cute, but you didn't have to talk on stage because that is not my forte. But yeah, and then I was like, hey, let's go watch this show. And then I was like, nope, screw that, I'm just gonna do the show.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
yeah, I did the show and I got first in novice and second in open, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, I like it. And then I
Wow.
was just hooked. Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So did you love the process of prep when you were like, I'm just going to do this? Did you actually enjoy the prep process?
I honestly don't remember like my first prep for that show specifically, but I remember prepping for like that. So that was in 2013. Then I remember starting prep for 2014. Like, I had joined a bigger team and I was gonna do like, I had signed up to do the Pittsburgh amateur show, and I knew that was like a huge deal. And
Mhm.
so I remember going into that prep and I was like on it, and I was like, okay, this is like, the fire was lit. Like, I definitely remember that prep. But yeah.
Yes, I love that. I was watching, shoot, I don't even remember what tennis tournament it was now. I think it was the Wimbledon, to be honest.
Mhm.
And they, there was a new champion, and I loved how the reporters were talking about like when you win, when you become a champion, you are either going to rise to the occasion and fight as a champion, or you're going to walk away as a champion and decide not to get that hunger or that desire for more. And it sounds like for
Yep.
you got that hunger for more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, I just, yeah, that's the person I am. If I want to do something and I really want to do it, I'm not gonna half pass it. Like, I mean, there are days where you're not on 100%, but you have a goal and it just depends on the person. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And yeah, it
Yes.
kind of gave me like a little high on life. Like, wow, this is really cool. Like, yeah, I'm terrified, I'm shaking, I'm nervous on stage, but like there's some kind of weird high that you get from that, and I love it.
So true. It's definitely addictive in some ways, or maybe addictive is not the right word, but it does give you a nice high.
Hmm.
So okay, you started in CrossFit, and I'm curious, like a lot of people who are in CrossFit end up developing like more of a square physique, like their waist gets a little
Yep.
bulkier, they develop a lot of obliques. Did you have
Hmm.
to work against that, or were you not doing it long enough to have to fight that?
I will blame genetics a little bit, and I've never like I think it helped me develop strong obliques, but I never got to the point where I started to like widen out in the middle. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that was because like my back has always been my strongest muscle group, because I was a swimmer as a kid. So I automatically kind of had like broader shoulders and a wider back, which illusion wise is going to make my waist smaller. But so I think it helped me develop my obliques, but it didn't make me too blocky. Maybe if I had done it for a little longer.
Got it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And do you think your athletic background as a swimmer also helped you to like have that fire when you won after your first two to keep going, and then a year later,
For sure.
literally, yeah. And
Yep.
you got your
That
pro
and
card at USA's, right?
yes. Yep.
Okay. You were saying what else? That and something else?
Oh yeah. I was a dancer for 16 years as well. And so
Oh,
that with the
wow.
whole actual like the performance on stage, I feel like that helped a ton.
Oh my gosh,
Just
I
with like my
bet.
routine and posing, and that is like really like the element, like my flow is having like just a really nice flow with a routine. I don't know. I think that comes from the dance background, but
For sure. Was that fun for you to like put together your pro routine then?
yeah, I mean, it's like you go from having 15 seconds on stage to having like a minute. So it's like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like, what am I going to add to my routine? It's like, okay, let me go look at all my favorite pros routines and like piece these together and make my own. Yeah, that was super fun.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it's still always kind of evolving and changing a little bit, just depending on my physique and just when I feel like I need to add a little more sass or a little different flow to it. So yeah, that's fun.
For sure. So, I mean, you've done this for so long, and you've seemingly stayed on point for the majority of the time that you've been doing this. I don't know that, you can
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like there's been a time where you've like fallen off track, or maybe done anything different in terms of a lifestyle. So, what
Mhm.
have you done to continuously connect with your motivation to further or continue this journey in bodybuilding?
Oh, I feel like everyone has I feel like you're not like a true competitor until you've had at least one kind of negative rebound after a show. Even if it's not like dramatic, I feel like, everybody has a time where they binge for a week and they're like, "Oh my God, this is what this feels like." Like I feel like an idiot. And then you're better afterwards. So I did after I turned pro, I kind of fell off for a hot minute because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go straight into the pro shows. I'm gonna get on it. But I was exhausted. Like I had done 5 shows in 12 weeks, like really trying to get that pro card. And then when I finally did, I was like, nope, I'm exhausted. I'm done. I'm taking a little break. So I think I took, let's see, July. I took 3 months off.
Yep.
But it was still challenging. Um, but I think more so like I do have such pride in earning like the prestige of the IFBB pro. Like I don't want to like let myself down and feel like kind of unworthy of holding that title. And like I always hope that I'm inspiring other people too. But that doesn't mean I'm not beating myself over my head if I have like, you know, a couple donuts like more often than I want to talk about, or if I'm not 100% on my macros, like I'm not, and I'm human. I definitely have times and things that I struggle with, but overall, I know one setback isn't going to set me back from being better, and each time it
Mhm.
happens, it's like, okay, this happened. I'm going to give it its attention for now, but I'm not going to dwell on it because that's not productive to anybody. So, yeah, I just try to be realistic and know that this is a part of my life, but it's not all of my life. And I would honestly be lost without having the challenge of trying to be better and staying motivated to see if I can change my body and like mark more goals off of my list.
Yeah, for sure. You're very goal driven.
Mhm.
So I kind of think about that in the perspective of when you think about holding a title like IFBB Pro, and you want to not only inspire people, but you want to honor that title. And it does have a level of prestige that people dream of one day having and holding. And there's been girls who have talked about it on the show before that really motivates them, or that was a shift for them. I also think there's so much inspiration that comes from those human moments, like you brought up, like being able to say, hey, this still happens to me sometimes, or I
Mhm.
am not a robot in this, like I'm not a slave to competing.
Mhm.
So, you said it's part of your life, but it's not all of it. So, even though you'd be lost without chasing those goals, what other parts of your life do you feel like really driven by or inspired by or connected to?
Just I feel like I'm on like a personal like a very personal journey of just becoming like the best human I can be it for like other people or myself. Like I'm just like that's kind of like my main focus right now, like the good kind of selfish. Like I'm focusing on me and being a good human and doing 100% to anything that really matters in my life.
Mhm.
And yeah, then like again, just kind of normal, just a normal gal. Like I love spending time with my friends, like going to concerts and doing things with my husband and snuggling with my cats and Netflix and chill. Like, yeah, I'm just a normal old girl.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we get this impression. I was actually talking to a client about this, and I would love to hear your opinion.
Mhm.
But, when we have like fitness accounts, of course, people are going to post mostly like about fitness, but
Yes.
what gets left out is the rest of their life. So sometimes on the outside looking in, this person's all about fitness. They live in the gym, they breathe this
Yep.
lifestyle, and they forget that there's, other parts of their life that also matter or that they focus on. So, what do you like? Have you ever experienced that yourself where you're like, oh, it seems like that fitness is like only this person's part of their life. So how have you been able to maybe work through that mentally?
Like I feel like on social media, fitness, like the fitness stuff is most of what I post like on my Instagram because if I mean, I like sharing parts of my life with the world and whatnot, but I don't want to share all of it. So
Mhm.
I feel like my fitness journey is something that I do appreciate having, like just support and motivation from other people, and I like sharing that with people. But yeah, I mean, nobody's gonna post. Okay, I shouldn't say nobody, but most people aren't gonna post like the negative parts of their life.
Mhm.
But we all go through them. We just don't share that because you put on a certain image on social media so that you're helping yourself and helping others to achieve their goals or to see their positives and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I know for me, obviously there's a lot of my life outside of competing, which some of it I share like on Snap stories just because that's fun and easy. But yeah, there's a ton of my life, normal life that I don't share on social media just because again, most of the people following my page, I feel like they're just mostly interested in the fitness part of it.
Yes, I love your perspective on this so much because it's like you're not doing it from a negative place or to be like, this is my only thing in my life. It's just like, this is what I'm choosing to share. This is what,
Mhm.
motivates me and motivates others. And this is what the people want type of a thing. And
Yep.
it's like, okay, I don't have to share every detail of my life. And it's important, I think, for people who are on social media, maybe comparing themselves to fitness accounts when they're maybe just getting into it, or they don't live in the fitness industry or work in the fitness industry. They can see that it's just perspective, right? It's a
Mhm.
focus. It's one spotlight on a very awesome area of your life that you take pride in
Yep.
and you're sharing.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, people will say, "Well, you're not normal because you spend this much time in the gym." Like, yeah, I guess if you want to create a standard for normal, no, most people don't go to the gym twice a day, pretty much every day, but some people do. That is kind of a norm for the fitness industry people.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, I just for what I'm catering to on social media, that's 90% of what I'm going to share.
Right, exactly. And you mentioned, that you're also married, and we know about your
Yeah.
fur baby. So how long have you been
Yes.
married for?
So I got married in 2017. So yeah, a little over 2 years, going on 3.
That's awesome. I think it's so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just it's super cool, I think, to see relationships evolve, especially within, being a competitor too. I think some people put so much pressure on themselves with competing that they feel like they can't pursue a relationship or can't build one. So
Hmm.
what do you do to balance your bikini competitor life with your married life?
Oh, I mean, it's still that's still a struggle sometimes too, because especially when you're getting into like the heat of prep, and if
Mm-hmm.
I have to work a full day, do all of my gym time, prep my food, plan my show. For the longest time, I was making my own suits. Like I just finally bought my own suit, and so those,
Wow.
if I'm making my suit, that takes like 7 hours to construct and rhinestone and try on and all that. Then I am like an OCD packer, so all the packing details, like, yeah, it takes a ton of like time away from our relationship and whatnot. So it's just about communicating. And I just like to remind my husband, like, hey, I need your support in this way. Like, I need you to help me by not having shitty foods in the house. Like, I need you to help me by maybe not hating me if I snap at you, or just being supportive when I'm sleepy, or not getting mad at me if I have to do cardio. Like, it's just a lot of communication, but also like some compromise on my part. Like, I know I can't do a show every month. Like, whether or not if that could physically happen, and you're in the heat of prep, and I like, I get super motivated. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do show because I'm ready and I'm fired up. But that's not realistic, again, for normal outside of fitness life. So it's a lot of communication and compromise.
Definitely. And is he into the competition lifestyle?
He doesn't compete, but he works out and follows a pretty decent like meal plan, like a diet, I would say. Just for his lifestyle, that works really well for just ease of having food and whatnot. But yeah, he's not interested in competing, and that is totally fine.
Yeah, for sure. And how long were you a competitor when you met him?
Yes. Yep. I was just getting ready for my pro debut when we
Wow.
met.
That's
Yep.
awesome. So he kind of knew what he was
Yeah.
getting into.
Yes. On our first date, it was like my cheat meal. I think I was like a month out from a show. And so we went out for dinner. And then after dinner, it was like 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours later, I was still hungry. So after dinner, I ate an entire pizza and 4 cupcakes.
Oh my
And he was
gosh.
like, damn, this girl can eat. And I was like, yeah, I love food. What can I say? I was taking advantage. I mean, looking back now, that wasn't really a cheat meal. That was a binge meal, but he was impressed.
Yes, in retrospect, but at the same
Yep.
time, it was good. So,
Yep.
now in this whole process, obviously, of competing and of balancing life with that, and of course, putting energy and time into your external interests, you've traveled a lot with him. You mentioned you
Mm-hmm.
go to a lot of live music festivals and concerts,
Mm-hmm.
specifically EDM. So, how have
Mm-hmm.
you managed to create a lifestyle over the years that allows you to enjoy all of these hobbies while you're also, staying focused on your competition goals?
It's only tough when I am having a moment of like weakness. But
Hmm.
for the most part, I don't I don't put myself in situations where I know I'm not going to have the strength to say no and where I'm going to like upset myself. Um I mean, usually when we go out to a show or meet up with friends or something like that, I I'm so committed to the goal at that point that I'm not going to like throw it all away just to like enhance the experience that I'm having. Like,
Right.
and most of the time it doesn't, because if I cheat or stray away from my plan, then I'm going to upset myself. So it's just, I don't know, it comes down to like willpower.
Hmm.
But yeah, when you have a goal, your willpower, it will naturally meet up with your goal. And if it's not, then it's not like the right thing for you to be doing or the right timing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, willpower is important, but having a reason for it to come up is even more important. Like you said,
Mhm.
your goals would not be fulfilled, and the experience certainly wouldn't be enhanced if you let them take the back burner for some like short pleasure.
Mhm.
And I think that's something a lot of people don't maybe understand is you can have willpower, but
Mhm.
if your why or your reason or your goal isn't strong enough or motivating enough, or you just haven't, spent enough time connecting to it, or maybe you have like internal blocks and limits you're not even aware of that's holding you back from it, then it's not going to come in handy anyways. The willpower won't even
Yep.
matter.
Yep. And it is hard just not having like a lot of close friends that are into the fitness world, because I mean, there've been times when I've kind of felt guilty for not indulging in certain things because I'm in prep, or because I have a show, or just because I literally don't want to. And
Mhm.
that's kind of harder to manage sometimes than just having the temptation of everything else. Like, just feeling like you're letting someone down when you are trying to do the best thing for you. That's the hardest part to manage.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. How have you moved through that in the past?
Usually I'm I'm one to just call it as it is. Like, if someone's making me feel guilty for something that I'm doing positively for myself, I'll call it out. I'll be like, dude, you're making me feel like a piece of shit. Like, I'm doing this for me. If you don't support it, if it's making you jealous, then talk to me about it. Tell me about it. Like, let me know how you feel about it. We'll give those feelings their time, and then we'll move past it. Like, if you're in my life as a friend, or family, or whatever, like, all I ever want is mutual respect. Like, anything you do, I'm going to be in your corner, your best cheerleader, cheering you on, helping you with whatever you need. But I expect the same thing, you know.
Right, despite what you maybe
So,
think about it or how it impacts your life.
mm,
So, have you ever experienced this, like where you are maybe choosing not to, let's say, eat with all your friends when you go out, and then you get a little bit of that guilt, like, oh, maybe I'm not living up to what they expect from me or want from me, and I'm maybe letting them down. And then you've expressed to them, these are my goals. Have you ever gotten any pushback from that?
mm, maybe a little bit in kind of a like joke way, like, oh, okay, you go eat chicken and broccoli. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, it's like, my friends know now for the most part to expect it. If we talk about it, I don't know, it's different depending on the occasion. Like,
Yep.
I would say more so now, since I have been doing it for so long, everyone's cool with it. Like, will somebody joke and be like, "Oh, how's that fish right now?" or something like that. That's fine. I don't really like digs from that anymore, but it's kind of situational. Like, yeah, I still have times where I kind of feel awkward or guilty about it, but then I have times where, they're in their food, I'm warming up my food, and all is good.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like over time people just get used to it and you get more comfortable with it too, that it's not
Yeah.
as impactful. Um yeah, I've noticed that too. And okay, so we actually have some questions from listeners that I want to make sure we get to.
Perfect.
And since you're in your improvement season right now, I feel like
Mhm.
this would be a good time to maybe expand on one of the questions, which is how to maintain current muscle size. I know you're probably making an effort to build, but they were curious if you had any tips for maintaining it.
Maintaining, I mean, I feel like that is based on I feel like muscle maturity, and being that I have been looking, like, I might not have to work as hard as, say, someone starting out.
Mm-hmm.
So muscle maintenance is pretty easy because my cardio is not as high and my calories in are higher. So as long as I'm putting in the work and lifting heavy and getting in my gym time and my meals, for the most part, I am. Like, I'm not perfect every day, but yeah, I feel like just staying on a good, like, kind of improvement season schedule, you're at least going to maintain, if not grow.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I like that. I like that insight. It's like consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. My,
Okay.
my motto for a lot of things is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, if
Yes.
it works for you, keep doing you.
Even if it's different than what people expect or maybe what people would normally do.
Yep.
So another thing that someone asked, I'm going to actually ask you what Jesse Palmer submitted, which is,
Yeah.
what has been your favorite experience or best memory you've had as a competitor?
Oh my gosh. It's like, I feel like there are just different levels of that. Like, probably, I would say probably my favorite show, or like my favorite stage moment, was winning overall at Dallas Europa when I was an amateur, because I think that was like my second show of 2014, and that was right after Pittsburgh, and I just didn't do awesome in Pittsburgh, and so I kind of just booked Dallas last minute, and it was it wasn't just an awesome show. Like, the show itself was so fun, and then to end up winning an overall, and that was a huge show, and for still being an amateur, I was just like, oh my god, like, it was surreal. It was pretty surreal.
I
um
bet.
so that is definitely special for me. um but competing at Arnold Australia was like the whole experience was kind of life changing. Like, it it just it like opened up so many doors for me and so many realizations, and every part of that experience was amazing. Like, I felt so honored to be on an Arnold stage, being like a newbie pro. And then being in Australia, like, I have a love for Australia that I don't know if I'll ever be able to describe to anyone. um and then I met Camilla Powell, which she has been competing for a long, long time too, and we both traveled there by ourselves, and even that, like, I learned so much about myself traveling by myself, and it was it was just all around the best experience.
Dang, I was gonna ask you about the Arnold Australia because
Mm-hmm.
like one, I mean, I bet that like you said would just be so fulfilling to even step on that stage. Two, you just
Mm-hmm.
mentioned there were lots of life-changing and aha moments. What were some of those things that changed for you from that point or that you learned that was impactful?
I I mean, again, I had a real appreciation for just being in the industry in general, because I maybe would have never been to Australia, or would have never gone, especially at that point in my life, had it not been for competing. And that's something that it brought me.
Mm.
And then after the show, I had like a few little excursion things planned, and I was in a completely different country, so far away from home, and I was doing all these things by myself. And I knew I've always been an independent person, but I didn't have I didn't know how independent I was until I was on Phillip Island, and I was like looking out at the ocean, and I just had like a moment of like an awakening or like a transcendence or something. I'm like, God, like this is just the most empowering time. Like this is the most empowering I've ever felt. Like I don't know, it's like hard to describe, but I was just so thankful for the experience and just like overwhelmed with like being there. I don't know, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, but it sounds really beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. And did you, like, when you competed at that show, were there opportunities that opened up for you that hadn't yet been presented? Or was there, from this evolution of your realization on the beach that day that then translated in other areas of your life?
Yes, I feel like both. Like just being able to have like an Arnold on my competitive history, I feel like that, speaks some levels for the art industry in
Mm-hmm.
general. Um, just being that it was like you're invited to this show and it's kind of exclusive. Um, and I feel like that put me on a really good foot for that season. Like I had a pretty productive season after that. Um, but yeah, and then just the traveling part of it in general, like it really deepened my fire and love for traveling and traveling by myself.
Have you done any more of those types of traveling excursions by yourself since then?
I've done a few. I haven't done any out of the country stuff by myself since. Such as that's hard to manage because it's like I would almost feel guilty if I wanted to go to a different country and be like, sorry, babe, I need this for me.
Yo,
Like,
peace
I don't
out.
know if I can quite justify that yet, but just like a few things here and there, we can justify that.
For sure. That's awesome. And another question that came up that I absolutely love this question. It was brought up for another episode, but I was like, I gotta ask her. I want to ask a lot of pros now that it's been brought up once. But if you could only pick one exercise to do for the rest of your life for shoulders, glutes, and hamstrings, what exercises would they be for each?
Oh, for each? Because I was gonna
Mm-hmm.
say I can feel I can get them all in one with thrusters. I have
Yeah.
loved thrusters since day one. Like, I mean, being CrossFit thing, I just
Yes.
love thrusters. Like any type of thruster. Like I'm talking like the thruster, like the squat throw, not like glute thrusts.
Right. I got you. Like almost like
Yeah.
a push press.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Those, I mean, I feel like you can hit it all with that. Um, Shoulders. Oh, it's so hard to pick one thing because I love lifting shoulders.
I know. I feel like this is why
Um,
this person wrote it, because she knows it's a tough one.
yeah, man. I feel like any type of like I like to do like compound lateral movements where I'll do like a front raise and then a side raise, or any type of combination where you're hitting more than one area of your shoulder kind of in the same lift.
Mm-hmm.
I love those because man, you can just get like a real good pump, like a real good burn with that.
Totally.
Um, and then I feel like bands for shoulders are super underrated.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you do with bands for your shoulders?
Everything. I mean, even just for like rehabbing shoulders and like stretching and just getting like good pumps. Oh, I do them all with the bands. Um, let's see, glutes, like glute thrusts, like heavy ones, like the
Mm.
actual like the machine where you put the belt.
Yep.
That's probably my favorite for glutes. Hamstrings. Hmm. I don't know. I just like single laying curls for hamstrings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the hip thrust in the machine with the belt across it. I get up and I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God, I feel like There's basketballs in my pants. I'm
Yes.
just like, my
Like you
butt
got that
is
juicy
pumped.
booty, just like every step is like clunk,
Yes.
clunk.
Yes. You
It's
walk
the best
away
feeling
like,
ever.
damn, like, let me look at my
Yep.
own butt for a second because
Yep.
I can feel
Just
this.
imagine like juicy peach, like your booty's just out of control. Yep.
Exactly. I'm like, damn, it feels like it like just has all this blood in it. Like I cannot even
Yep.
I step and I feel it. Like
It's
dang.
the best feeling.
Start playing Miss New Booty and just
Yep.
crank it up.
Oh yeah. It's
uh
great.
so okay, now this is what I was really intrigued to talk to you about actually. So I'm glad someone
Hmm.
else wanted to hear it too. This is something that you have had experience in, which is changing your appearance to appeal to the judging panel.
Yep. Yep.
So what's your opinion on this? What's your experience with it? Yeah, just lay it on us.
So this, yeah, it's my opinion, just purely opinion. I feel like everybody has a different thought about it. I do feel like the judges like me better with dark hair. Whether or not that's because I turn pro with dark hair or just because dark hair is more dynamic on stage. I feel like dark hair is probably like more popular of a look on stage. I last let's see. Yeah, last year I did both because I was like, hey, I had asked for some feedback from a show, and one of the judges was like, hey, I prefer this hair, this suit. And so I did that. And then I felt like my placing, again, placing, that's another subject, but I feel like it didn't necessarily help me any because I didn't really feel like myself because I was bringing a look that someone else had told me to bring that it just didn't really feel like me.
What was
And so
that
after
look?
that show, I did a green suit and like black hair.
Okay, got it.
And I mean, yeah, like previously I had always competed with dark hair. Like when I first, let's see, so that would have been not this year, but the last year when after my break, I, for the first time, stepped on stage with light hair in Denver. And like I was in first call out, like all was good. And then they're like, hey, we think you should go back to dark hair. And so I did after that. And again, it was like, okay, I liked my look. That was good. But I was at the point I didn't really want to have dark hair again. Like I
Yeah.
had been working so like doing hair. I'd worked so hard to get my hair to this perfect color. And so yeah, after that, I was just kind of like after the green suit and dark hair, I was like, I'm just gonna do me. Like, if that affects my placing, then that affects my placing. Like, I understand that the industry is all about you want to have a complete look, but that doesn't mean me coming in with light hair or the suit that I want to wear means it's sloppy. Like, it's just I'm gonna bring the look that I want to bring, and that it's gonna affect me however it affects me. But I'm doing it for me. I mean, of course, I want to impress the judges, but I'm gonna be who I am at the same time.
How did that work out for you?
I feel like that was fine because after that, then when I had light hair and back to my red suit, I got fifth at the next show. And then I can't remember what I placed at the show after that, maybe 15th with the same look. So again,
Mm-hmm.
that all goes back to judging. Whether or not I had dark hair, I don't think that would have made a difference. Whether or not I had worn a different color suit, I don't think that would have made a difference.
Right. Because
But
it varies. And do you feel like when you brought something that felt more like you were more confident, more sassy, more
yes,
mm,
100%. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. When I had the dark hair, okay. So when I did St. Louis Pro, I had never thought about how easy this would be, but I wore a wig and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. I don't have to do my hair at
wow.
all. But at the same time, I was so nervous that that thing was going to fly off because again, like I said, I cannot control how hard I whip my hair when I'm on stage. It just comes out of me. Like, it's just like, okay, here it is. Like, I can't control that. So it's like, if I swear to God, if I hair whip my wig off, I'm going to be so embarrassed.
Oh my God.
So I had some slight anxieties about this. So that probably didn't help me for being, as confident as normal. But Yeah, I mean, it was bittersweet. It was really easy to get ready, but then I had to worry about it falling off.
Yeah, I've always been
So,
curious about
yeah.
that with wigs. Like how did you even get it on? Do you like put your hair in like how do you even do this?
Yep, you put your hair in a little bun or a little braid and put a cap on and then put the wig on, and then sometimes, there's like specific glue that you can put on them. That gave me a little anxiety too. I didn't really want to put glue around my hair.
What if I can't
There
get
are
it
like
off?
clips that go in. Yeah. Again, it was bittersweet. It was nice that it was easy, but it was terrifying that it was also just put on my head.
Did you take it
But
off
I know a lot of
between
girls that do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there are. I'm
Yeah.
always like I'm always curious about that. I even just the
Mhm.
extensions that girls will
Mhm.
wear, like the ones
Yep.
that they like almost like I don't know what they're you're the professional in this, but
Yeah.
when they slide them on, they just attach at the bottom. They're not like clip-ons necessarily, but they're
Mhm.
like almost like I don't know what they're called. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, there are like halos and tape-ins and clip-ins and
yes. Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean some girls I've seen their extensions on stage. I'm like, "Ooh, that's not good."
Yeah, you gotta look again, that goes into the polished look. Like if someone can't tell that it's fake hair, you're doing it right. But if like Joe Schmo is like, wow, it's a bad weave. I mean, you gotta polish your look up, girl. Like put it together.
Yes. So, I mean,
I have
as a
feelings.
hairstylist yourself and a makeup
Hmm.
artist, do you do
Hmm.
all your own hair and makeup for the show, or do you usually have someone else do it?
I have done my hair and makeup for almost every show except for the show here in Iowa. I just treated myself and I had the girl who did my makeup for my wedding do my makeup. And that was nice. It's just like it was a little stress off my plate. And I like to see what other looks people can create because other than my wedding, that was the first time I ever had my makeup professionally done.
Wow.
So I had her do that, and it was just like a nice little treat since I didn't have much expense competing here.
Yeah.
Um, I've never had anyone do my hair. Then that's just because I know how to do it. I know how I like it. I don't want to be a pain in the butt for someone else with how picky I am. So
Mhm.
I'm always good with doing my hair. And then I had V do my makeup in Dallas this last show, and that was amazing. Like, if she's in another show that I'm at, I would probably have her do my makeup again. Again, it's just
Wow.
nice to not have to do it myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, her work is beautiful.
I agree. I've seen a lot of her work. I think that it always comes out really nicely, and I imagine that if you as someone who does that sees that in someone else's work, like I feel like it would be difficult to find someone to do it if you're a professional
Yes.
in it and be happy with it.
Yep.
Be
Yep.
really critical.
Yeah. I knew for sure I have always wanted her to do my makeup for at least one show. Like, cause yeah, being a professional, like I can respect like true art, and I'm always floored by her work. So it was nice to have to like treat myself and have her do it for me.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
because you know this stuff, I was like, I should ask her. Like, do you do any hair treatments or anything to prepare your skin and your hair and everything for the best look on stage?
Yeah. So like it's yeah, especially when you're getting deep into prep and like you start losing fat and like water from your face, I feel like,
Mhm.
you got to give it a little extra love. I usually try to get like a hydrofacial at some point, like before the show, like a few weeks out, because it just makes your skin so nice and juicy and fresh and kind of just surfacely gives your skin what you're lacking or your face what you're lacking from prep. Um, for hair, yeah, I just like, I'll tone it. I'll like put a conditioning treatment on it. I don't do anything like, crazy specific. I just try to make sure my extensions aren't like falling apart. But
What is
yeah.
toning your hair?
Okay. So, like for blondes, sometimes they start to get like kind of yellowy or orangey.
Mhm.
So you tone the hair with the opposite of the color wheel tone for the tone that you're trying to dilute. So like if someone's hair is yellow, then you put like a violet toner on it. That's if you want it to be like kind of neutral, like whitish.
Mm.
Um, But yeah, so you just kind of balance out whatever tone you want to get rid of. Mine can kind of get a little yellowy sometime, and I like it to have more of a silvery, platinum-y, dark blonde look. So yeah, just tone it, make sure it's nice and fresh.
Interesting. Okay. And then when you
Yeah.
condition it, do you go and get it done and condition it, or do you just use a specific product you like?
I kind of experiment with different products that our distributors have too. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of Olaplex.
Okay.
Moroccan oil, they actually have like a toning conditioner, like a conditioning treatment now that has a toner in it. I've been using that and it smells delicious and makes my hair feel real nice. But
Yes,
yeah,
the
I mean,
little
I just do it
things.
all. I do it all myself.
Awesome. Do you have anything that
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that someone would do that to their hair or their skin before a show?
Oh man, I haven't, other than bad extensions, I don't know if I've seen anything really bad makeup wise. I mean, I see a lot of makeup that, a lot of girls just trying to save some money and do their own makeup, and that's cool. But I haven't seen anything like, oh my God, like she needs help, other than bad extensions, but that's pretty common.
Got it. So, you have, like I said, you've been in improvement season for a while, but what I wanted to talk to you about specifically was that when you started your reverse diet, you were actually feeling really sick. And I know a lot of girls go through this. So, how did you manage
Hmm.
to push through or work through your illness and, manage to still properly reverse?
Oh yeah. Honestly, the hardest thing for me when I'm sick usually is I don't get enough food in.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, like, I'm trying to reverse out of like my cardio. And so knowing that my body needed to rest, but also feeling like I needed to do all of my cardio, that was like an internal battle for like the entire like 3, 4 weeks that I was sick. I'm like, okay, I feel I'm exhausted. I feel like shit. Like, but I really need to go do this cardio. And it's I don't know. It's a fine line. Like sometimes when I wake up and I feel like garbage, like I'll go down and do my cardio and do my lift and I feel 100 times better. But then there are times like if I get home from work a little bit late and I'm still sick, then I go down and do cardio. It's like, okay, I have drained every ounce of energy my body has. So it was kind of hard to find a good balance between getting enough rest and getting enough food in, but also like not feeling like I'm falling off the wagon. And
Right.
like my coach was like, "Hey, just take it easy. Like you're not feeling well." And then my husband's always like, "You need to sleep." Like I know, but I need to do 20 minutes. Like I need to get it in. So I don't know. It's that like the mental battle is something that I'll probably always have. Like I feel like all of us competitors, we have our little angel and our little devil. Like little devil telling us, "Oh, well, if you don't do this, you're gonna get fat," and then the little angel like, "Okay, it's like don't be so hard on yourself." That's yeah. I just had to figure it out, like balance it out, just slowly come off the cardio, take a couple days off, take a bath, like relax, know that it's okay if I don't do all that I'm supposed to do. And then
Right.
yeah, just not have to guilt yourself about not being 100% on all the time.
Exactly. Even at a time where we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be in that 110% mindset.
Yep.
Because, like, post show, you're just like, especially right after a show, you might be on a high from the show, but if you're feeling sick, you're kind of like, dang, like, I want to work out. I want to eat all the food I need to
Yes.
eat, but I don't know that I actually physically can.
Yes. Oh yeah. It was so hard. Like, yeah, just I don't know if I did really find a balance. I just kind of let my sickness go away. Like I don't ever
Yeah.
go to the doctor unless I feel like I'm physically dying. And yeah, my husband got a little angry with me about that, but I'm like, I'll be okay. It just needs time. The doctor's not going to give me anything. I don't take the medication. Like I'm not going to take an antibiotic. So yeah, I just try to keep eating clean and tried to eat as much as I needed to and did cardio when I had enough energy. But
Hmm.
yeah, I just had to let it work itself out, sweat it out.
Exactly. Like listen to your body and do what you need to do, what you got to do. And
Yep.
there is a level of commitment that comes as athletes in general, just our athlete mentality, where
Mhm.
that's kind of just in us, to keep
Mhm.
going.
Yes.
And you mentioned your coach, Shane.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you've been working with him for a while and you only met him recently this past year, right?
Yes. Yeah, we've been working together since 2015. And yeah, we just met for the first time in April.
How was that experience?
It was awesome. He's so great. He is so great. He puts up with all my shit.
Like what? What do you think you put him through?
Oh my God. I feel like every prep, I ask him the same last minute questions or dumb questions that I pretty much know the answer to. But I just need him to be like, yeah, you're good. You're great. Or yeah, you're doing good. Or here, this is what it is. Like, just answer my weird questions. He does that and he's so great about it. He's an awesome dude.
Oh, do you feel like after meeting him in person, you're even more like connected, or do you feel like it wouldn't
Yeah.
have? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I'm huge on like first impressions, and I feel like I'm a very good kind of in like my intuition is pretty on. Like so I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character,
Yeah.
and especially when that matches up with what I envision someone is like, or it's even better than I expected. Yeah, it just puts it all together. Yeah, I met him and I was like, "Oh my God, you're exactly what I thought you would be, and I love it." He's
That's
great.
awesome. That
Yeah.
is really cool. So, I want to now wrap things up by, of course, asking you your best advice for girls who want to get into competing but haven't yet, and then your best advice for girls on their road to pro.
Okay. Girls that want to get into competing, just have a good have a good support system, but also like have confidence in yourself. Like that's probably the most important thing is you need to just love yourself through the entire process. And as I'm saying this, I'm reminding myself of that because improvement season is hard, but
Mhm.
it's not like I'm a huge fan of like the nothing worth having is ever easy. Like it's so true. Like you're going to have to put in work. But at the same time, again, if you're so hard on yourself, if you're not 100%, then you're going to get discouraged and you're going to be your worst enemy in the worst way.
Mm.
So you have to like love yourself and have faith in yourself and your decisions, and be it negative or positive, give it the time and appreciation that it needs, and then be done with it.
Love that.
As far as amateurs turning pro, man, you just gotta like just keep going. If you need to bring the fire, especially to a national stage, like with how advanced and how awesome all the amateur athletes are now, like you have to bring the fire if you actually want to turn pro. With that being said, I know there are a lot of girls that turn pro and they just turn pro and they never compete as a pro, and that's cool too because again you have this title forever. But I don't think that's worth it. I think if you really want to turn pro, you need to want to continue on your journey as a lifestyle. Um, but yeah, just like listen to your heart and do I don't know. You just have to listen to yourself. And if you have any hesitations, whether you think you're ready, like you know yourself best. If you're not ready, then wait until you're ready because all that work and all that time and all that money, you put that in, and if you don't show your best, it's going to be discouraging. So just make sure you're on and have faith in yourself 100%.
I love that. I'm actually writing it down. Um, I like how you said if you don't like show your breast if breasts, well, hopefully you don't. If
Well,
you
hopefully
don't,
none of that.
well, I mean, maybe we'll see. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I
If
mean,
you,
I feel like I've seen a few wardrobe malfunctions. That could also happen. Glue and tape are your friends.
it could happen. I've like taken a check-in photo and been like, oh God, let me
Oh
retake
my
that.
God. That happens. I don't ever like really double check that, but then sometimes I'll go through old progress pictures and I'm like, oh shit.
Right? Oh
Hopefully I
my
didn't send that one
God.
anywhere.
God, seriously,
Yep.
I'll like zoom in. I'm like, is that? Well, oh well, too
Yep.
late now.
That's something. Yep. Okay, cool.
Well, what you actually said was if you don't show your best, it'll discourage you. And I like that. You're like talking about honoring yourself and trusting yourself, and you know yourself better than anyone else. I really love that advice, and I love the advice you had for future competitors too. And just everything you've shared with us, it's been really awesome to talk to you. And I hope I get to meet you one day, get your energy in person
Me
too.
too.
That'll be
Me
awesome.
too.
And of course, I want everyone to be able to connect with you. So can you let them know how they could find you?
Yep. Instagram is misfit_Jesslyn_IFBB Pro. And then I have an athlete page on Facebook, which is just IFBB Pro Jessica Lynn. I think they're pretty searchable. But yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I'll put both of those links in the show notes page. So for you guys listening, that's always going to be on celestial.fit/podcast. And in the category section, you'll just look for Jessica Lynn, or it'll be at the top of the page if you're listening to this right away. I appreciate you guys so much for listening every week, for sharing it on your stories, and for reaching out to the athletes and sharing like your gratitude and appreciation. It goes a long way for them and for me too. Same with the ratings, the reviews, the subscriptions. I mean, I can't even believe we have over 200,000 unique downloads. This blows my mind, and it would not be possible without any of you. And I don't even know where we're at this moment in time when I'm recording this, but I know we've surpassed that. It just means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much. And Jessica, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode.